We're back yet again. Let's not waste any time. Nikola Jokic, it's been official now, being named 2022 NBA MVP. Do you think the award should have gone to Joel Embiid, Ahmad? Do you think that Joel Embiid should have been named? What?
No,
question.
First off, congratulations to Nikola Jokic.
Okay, fine. Let's get that out the way. Congratulations to Nikola Jokic for winning 2022 MVP. Cool. Do you think Joel Embiid should have won it though?
It's not what I think. It's I told you it was gonna happen. So it's just like I've already prepared myself for this. Like, so it's not like, you know how I feel. Nikola Jokic or Giannis Antetokounmpo or Devin Booker probably should have won the MVP, but we know what was gonna happen. And shout out to Nikola Jokic. He joins a elite list. I think he's like the 13th guy to win back-to-back MVP awards. So that's a special list that he's on. But I do feel that Nikola Jokic probably did not deserve to win this MVP over guys like Giannis or Nikola or Joel Embiid. So,
oh, you're saying it's multiple. I just named Joel Embiid. You think it could have been Giannis as well?
Yeah, I think it could have been Giannis. I think Giannis was voters fatigue. It could have been Nikola. It could have been Joel Embiid, and also could have been Devin Booker. It could have been any. It should have been one of them. Should have been one. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is, man.
I mean, to me, voter fatigue is so trash. Even dating back to LeBron. Like, LeBron should probably have more than 4 MVPs. You know, like, I get it. Some people get tired of voting for the same person. But at the same time, in my opinion, if you're voting for an MVP of a season, that should be who the award goes to. So when I think back to, again, a player like LeBron, it's like, well, why in the world would people hate on the idea of giving an award to him again just because he's won it so many times? That's actually nasty behavior.
Nikola Jokic accepting this award, sitting on the couch, is nasty. I'm going to say that right then and there. Like, it's kind of nasty. But I will say, like, yo, if this is how they're going to play it, let's keep this energy. If Giannis is the best damn player in the regular season for the next 5 years, give him the MVP. Because I don't want to hear about standings. I don't want to hear about seeding. I don't want to hear about anything. Give it to the best player. If that's what they're saying with Nikola Jokic winning as a 6th seed, let's keep that energy. Let's be consistent. I don't want to hear, because a legitimate argument can be made that Stephen Curry was the best player during the regular season last season, and Nikola Jokic won over him. He won over Stephen Curry because of, his team had a better overall record. So it's just like, that's what I'm saying. Things if this is how we're gonna play it, like, let's keep that energy. Or the truth of the matter is, Nikola Jokic, Steve Nash won 2 MVPs off of team success. Nikola Jokic winning as a 6th seed because he was the best player. The truth of the matter is, certain guys just get away with things more than others if this doesn't continue to go forward. So it's just like, we have to wait and see, in all honesty. So
yeah, I was gonna say too, is it similar to, it was Jokic having 2 MVPs? That's similar to Steve Nash having 2 MVPs. But those Suns teams, when Steve was winning, were pretty good. You know, I know people like to bring up Kobe stuff, of course.
Yeah.
But record wise, it just wasn't there. So if Kobe didn't get it, right? But now Jokic is getting it, even though he's a 6th seed.
That's what I'm saying. It's nasty.
It's
work.
like, what exactly are we doing here?
What you know? I'm not gonna say it. You know what's going on. But it's just kind of like, if this was another player, it would not have happened. And it's as simple as that.
But I think to Joel Embiid's credit, I mean, obviously he's had a great and phenomenal season, but it's just unfortunate because Jokic has had a great season, right?
Yeah,
phenomenal season, historic season. And I don't want anyone to take away from that. Obviously, being a 6th seed, that's not convenient in your overall case. But at the same time, we talk about not having Jamal or Michael Porter Jr., and you look at who else he had to play with in comparison. No. Right. I'm just saying. At the end of the day, you still play with the team that's in front of you. And put it like this. Let me ask you this. I think this might be a better question. Do you think that if Joel Embiid had this same roster and he was on the Nuggets, do you think that they would have been a 6th seed?
Joel Embiid didn't have his 2nd best player for the whole season. Then he had James Harden right after the All-Star break. He didn't have Ben Simmons or James Harden for 60 games, and he had them as the number 1 seed at some point in the Eastern Conference. So you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't really want to hear the whole, like, Nikola Jokic didn't have this player. He didn't have that player, especially when I could go point to Allen Iverson took a team full of you-know-what to the NBA Finals. I could point to Hakeem going back-to-back with, great role players like Kenny Smith. I could point to Michael Jordan in like the 80s where he won 50 games in a tough Eastern Conference and won the MVP. So I don't really want to hear that whole like, Jamal Murray was missing and Michael Porter Jr. was missing. I don't really want to hear that. So that's.
But I'm asking you. But that's what I'm saying. Do you think that if there was Embiid on that roster, do you think they would have had a 6 seed?
I don't know because like I said, it depends on teams' play styles. Like the Denver Nuggets play a different play style with Nikola Jokic as their center than they probably would with Joel Embiid. So that's a hard question to ask. It's all about play style. It's all about like certain things that have to like team offenses and things like that. All I can say is point to like what actually happened. And what actually happened is Nikola Jokic was missing certain guys. Joel Embiid was missing certain guys. Historically, the players that I pointed out who had success missing certain guys still were able to go out and go to the playoffs, and even some go to the finals, and some even win the finals. So it's just like that's not really a legitimate argument that people like to say, especially when it wasn't like Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets were winning against good teams. They was beating up bad teams. They were beating up the Orlando Magic, the OKC Thunder, the Los Angeles Lakers, all these sorry-ass teams in the regular season. And they had a winning, I think they were 16 and like 25 against teams over 500. So that's what I'm saying. Like that whole like argument is kind of very like, it's very flawed if we being honest, if we being real. So shout out to Nikola Jokic. He won it. Shout out to him. Salute to him. But the rest of that, like those excuses, I'm not really buying that.
I asked that question because they play the same position, right? And so usually, like if you want to compare like Kobe and Steve Nash, obviously with those two guys playing different positions, one is literally designed to facilitate, the other one is put the ball in the hoop. But with those guys who play are both centers,
but they play different styles.
Right,
though.
They have right. Yeah, I agree. They have different styles, but I'm saying in terms of true positions, I think with these two, it really is a pick. Just it's either one or the other kind of thing. It's unfortunate though. I mean, Jokic's numbers were pretty nasty though.
Yeah, but also Giannis and Joel Embiid's numbers were pretty nasty. Joel Embiid led the league in 40 and 10 points. 40 double. So it's just like his numbers were nasty too. And Giannis and Joel Embiid both played the other side of the ball pretty damn good. So it's just like that's what I'm saying. We could talk about it. Like people talk about Nikola Jokic's numbers and advanced stats and stuff like that, and also traditional numbers and stuff like that, and what he didn't have. But like I said, I can point out to Joel Embiid probably like should have been a defensive player of the year candidate as well. Top MVP candidate, had his team as a number 1 seed before James Harden arrived. Then James Harden arrived after the All-Star break. Then they had to figure some things out with that situation. Played without Ben Simmons the entire year. So Giannis doing what he's doing, being arguably the best damn player in the world, like in the regular season. And then like he's showing that right now, he may have that mantle as a top dog, this playoffs right now. So it's just like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, and then even Devin Booker, best team in the NBA on the number 1 seed in the NBA and the best player as well. So it's just like, it's too many things that like, Nikola Jokic had a great season, but it's like, it's too many other variables that it could have gone to this person or this person or this person for it to just have been given to like Nikola Jokic because he had a phenomenal offensive and advanced stat regular season when we talk about, PR, the best all time and all that great stuff. So it's just too many different variables.
Yeah, I mean, just the idea of things
They were right there at this. They were right there at
Yeah.
this. Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid were right there. Like they literally they were right there. You know what I'm saying? It was like, this was more like, oh, we want to give it to our guy. That's just what it is.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been crazy if Giannis would have won. That would have been three chips. I mean, three MVPs. But
Jordan, Bird, Kareem, LeBron
category.
James. That's a different category.
But also, too, with Jokic, back-to-back MVPs, right? Yeah. You mentioned the number of people that have been able to do that. Like, it's tough to win one. You know what I'm saying? But to win back-to-back, that says something. And even though that's something that, media and other voters have some sort of say on, that's still an amazing accomplishment. But I think to see what Joel Embiid has done and also has done it while winning games. And he's still playing.
And he's still playing. And also like the how the Philadelphia Sixers right now, we're about to talk about the series, how they look like a totally different team when he's on the court. Like his impact is like, yo, you were seeing it in real time in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So that's another thing that's like, damn, like people like, yo, Joel Embiid really was the MVP. You know, should have been an MVP. Like it's, you know, it's crazy. But
yeah,
shout out to Nikola Jokic. It's like at the end of the day, it's not like we're against like Nikola Jokic. Like he's talented, he's great, he's incredible. We know all this, but it's just like it's other guys that were just right there. Like I pointed out early in the podcast, Steve Nash, you know, winning back-to-back MVPs over certain guys for team success. When we clearly knew like during that season, like Kobe Bryant probably was the best player in the world. Shaquille O'Neal was the best player in the world that year. Like those guys probably should have won the MVP if we're going off of that. And then we got several years later when they're going off of that. Oh, Nikola Jokic is probably offensively, he was the best player in the 2021-22 regular season. We're gonna give him an award. And it's just like, but damn, like historically, other than Russell Westbrook, and you talked about this several podcasts ago, Russell Westbrook unfortunately has opened up the floodgates for this shit. But I just wanted to know if it's gonna be consistent. Because Russell Westbrook did something that hasn't been done since 1962. So it was a reason why he won as a 6th seed. But historically, it's never been that way. So now Nikola Jokic is winning as a 6th seed, even though he had an amazing season. I want to see now is if we're finally going to be what I've been saying. And it's crazy because I'm kind of like historically, I've always been this way. Like, yo, the best players, regardless of team record, should go to the All-Star game. The best players, regardless of team record, team success, should win the MVP. I've always said that historic, that's how it should be. But now it seems like, okay, it may start to happen. But I want to see if it's going to happen, or is this just a Nikola Jokic is our guy thing? Or is it going to be like next year, if LeBron James is dropping 35 points per game and the Lakers are in a play-in situation, I don't want people to sit up and say that LeBron don't deserve the MVP.
Well, first things first, let's say that. Let me acknowledge the end of that. Play-in is a lot different. Play-in is a lot different. Yeah, to your point too about Steph. Play-in is like, I mean, obviously, Jokic being the 6th seed, that you're very close to being in the play-in, but very close ain't necessarily in it. You know what I'm saying?
And if LeBron James is a 6th seed and he's putting up 35 points or 30 points per game, he better win the MVP then. Because if you're doing that, like
it depends on who else is on your team. And I'm just,
that's nasty work. That's nasty work.
It does. But I mean, work. Again,
that's why.
Right, now if he does this without
MVP,
well, I'm just saying. Now if LeBron goes out and puts up those numbers without Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook, yeah. But I mean, if he does that with AD and Russ, I'm not saying that's my opinion. I'm just saying that's a part of an argument, right? That's a part of a case.
But it's still nasty because that's why we got guys like Shaq and Kobe and Kevin Durant with one MVP. It makes no sense. We got guys like Steve Nash and Nikola Jokic with multiple MVPs. Like it's just like it's really crazy when we talk about it and we break things down and we start looking at historically, like, yo, like. When you start thinking, even LeBron James, like you talked about it, like, yo, LeBron only got 4. Like, a legitimate argument could have made that Giannis should have 3 right now. You know what I'm saying? A legitimate argument made that James Harden should have 2. And when we start looking at these things and based on how it's been done historically because of the team situation, it gets nasty when we're talking about now, finally, we're about to, like, let Nikola Jokic win as a 16 because he was the best offensive player in the regular season. When historically hasn't been that way. But like I said, I just want the energy to be consistent because if it's not, you know who's going to be right here saying this shit like, yo, this is some bullshit and this is why. So,
but now you see why I use rings in a lot of my debates. Yeah. It's because everything else has right or wrongs. Everyone has an opinion, but when it comes to rings, it's either you have them or you don't. And that has nothing to do with the media. That has nothing to do with what people are saying on Twitter. So it's like, yo, if you don't have a certain amount of All-Stars, all right, damn, it is what it is. Someone else had to control that. You don't, you didn't get nominated to first team or you didn't get Defensive Player of the Year or Most Valuable Player. Yeah. Someone else had to decide that. So at the end of the day, there's only but so much you can do. But you can decide if you win a ring. You can decide if you win a championship or not. Yeah. Like, that don't have anything to do with, especially too, because that's stuff that's driven by the media, right? Like, even if you want to sit here and say, like, all right, everyone is saying that this player is better than me. People are talking about the analytics, but, he has a better team, whatever. You can go out and prove to everyone that you're better than them by beating them. literally, in my opinion, winning cures all. And I know obviously saying that with the timing of this MVP award kind of goes against it because Jokic was a 6 seed. But even still, right, if you go out and become a 1 seed, you go out and win a championship, a lot of this stuff, it's curtains after. Like, if Joel Embiid goes out and wins the championship this year and win Finals MVP, yeah, there's going to be even more people being like, oh, I told you so. Now, right now, I think that conversation is very half and half because, again, Jokic did have a great and phenomenal season, but he also did get bounced in the first round. Yeah. He also was a 6 seed. So if Joel Embiid has an MVP type of season, but then goes out and wins a chip on top of that, it ain't going to be as balanced in terms of the who's better or who should have won it. But this is why the award gets given out before the damn finals.
That's real, but that's why you sit up saying like championships matter. And you've been on this, and I'm starting to even get to the point where we talk about like skill set, talent, compared to production, because a lot of this shit is starting to get like very like nasty when we start really, dissecting things. Like MVPs don't really mean they don't hold that much weight no more. I hate to say it, but it's just starting to feel that way. Like, okay, you won an MVP, especially when we talk about like people like to say, oh, Kobe won MVP his whole career. That's why he not top 5. No, not when Steve Nash was winning over him. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what people are gonna start saying. Like, nah, like MVPs is cool, whatever. But it's just it's that weight is starting to slowly like deteriorate a little bit.
I won't say the weight has decreased. I'll just say that because to me it's all about if you have both, right? You have multiple MVPs as well as championships. That's why I think this year is so important for Giannis, right? To have multiples of both. That's another category that a lot of people don't have. Multiple MVPs as well as multiple chips, multiple finals MVPs. So, I mean, I kind of get it in terms of like, all right, we can't view MVPs the same way, but at the same time, if we do feel that way, that means we have to be consistent with that energy and that thought process moving forward. Like, again, to your point, if LeBron goes out and wins MVP next year, are we still going to be like, well, they just giving it to anybody?
Sure,
so that's the bad problem to have, but
it's just things have become outdated. I think we need to have a new like positions need to be updated, awards need to be updated, awards need to be added because it's just that's what's starting to happen. Like Nikola Jokic was probably the best offensive player. I'm gonna say he was the best offensive player of the year. That should probably be an award. Joel Embiid was the MVP. You see what I'm saying? Like we probably need some new awards because like what tends to happen is just kind of like people are starting most valuable. Okay, most valuable for what reason? Most valuable because of team situation. Most valuable because best offensive player. And then I could point out like, okay, well, Joel Embiid was just as valuable offensively as Nikola Jokic was for his team. His team, second best players was out. Ben Simmons didn't play the whole year before they traded him and stuff like that. Nikola Jokic, same thing. Okay, now let's talk about defense on the defensive side of the ball. People are going to talk about those analytic stats with Nikola Jokic. Okay, what do your eyes tell you when you watch the game when they're running Nikola Jokic in the pick and roll every time, especially in the playoffs? What do your eyes tell you when you watch Joel Embiid in the playoffs when they try to run Joel Embiid in the pick and roll and he's actually can go out there and guard and defend at times and hold his own, you know what I'm saying, and block shots. So it's like same thing with Giannis Antetokounmpo. So it's just like it's certain things it's like, what are we judging and what are we giving like so much murk to when it comes to like having this weight of like why we're giving this award? So that's the thing, and that's what people could just write these little balance in and stuff like that. I need to hear from these people. That's what I need to talk about. I need to hear like why you gave it to Nikola Jokic. Like I don't, I wanted these people that are voting on these. I would like to hear why, because sometimes when they go on these shows and they tell why, and these people that are voting, it's like, oh, I'm gonna vote for LeBron James because I'm more of a narrative-based voter. What?
There's been some clips, and maybe this is what you're talking about, but there's been some clips where people have said like the reason why they had their vote, and it's been like, yo, this is who's in charge of
the voting. Yeah,
and not these like and like I get like I partially understand it that like maybe this is like okay they've been in the quote unquote industry for so long. Or they watch every like what like, but it's also at some point it's like yo, are you watching the entire game? Yeah. Are you paying attention to everything that's happening? And I mean,
or do you know what you're watching? I'm sorry, I had to say it.
Do you know what you're watching?
Do you really know what you're watching? You know what I'm saying? Do you really know what you're watching? Like that's a real, like, a lot of these people that are voting on these awards, I hate to say it, like, credit to their, their journey and their success and being in the industry and stuff. A lot of these people don't actually watch games. You know what I'm saying? Or they don't watch everybody. No disrespect to them, but like simple things like this. It shouldn't be players coming out, LeBron James saying like, yo, the most improved player award should not have gone to Ja Morant. Like, top 2 pick, rookie of the year, like this like all-star game starter, like most improved. That don't make sense. Like his trajectory is like where it's supposed to go. Like Jordan Poole wasn't even a top 3 finalist. Like it gets nasty. This is what stuff we're talking about. It's just like, what's really going on here? Like, are we just voting based on name, popularity? Are we voting on like, what do you like or who do you like? And that's another thing people start to do. I really don't like this guy. I'm not going to vote for him. He deserves, but I really don't like. He rubs me the wrong way. He don't answer like questions when I want him to answer. Also tying media votes into guys' money. Because that's another thing. Because it's a lot of biased people in the media when they're voting on these things, and then you're tying it to these guys' paycheck, costing guys, all NBA teams $30 million because may not like the guy. It gets nasty. It gets nasty when you start talking.
It gets real nasty when it get personal, because some of these voters are also people that attend the games, right? And so some of these voters are some of the ones that ask questions at the end of the press conference and stuff like that. And if they ask a player a question, and look, at the end of the day, they're all human, right? So we could sit here and act like, oh, I would never do that, or I would never put my emotions into play when to voting. That's separate. They're human beings. And so if they feel some type of way, they can be petty. It sucks, but they can be petty. And it's almost, and for something like this, where it's judged based off play and performance, right? And not like your overall connection or relationship to a player. It's like, yo, who truly deserves this award, right? Whether it be Joel Embiid, Jokic, Giannis, but who truly deserves it? Not, what I'm saying? Not who responds to my questions the way I want. Not who's going to get pissed off if I don't vote for. No. Who deserves it? Over the course of an 82-game season, who deserves it?
Or who I like most, or who I want to win, or the reason why I want them to win, or because I like analytics over, actually watching the game, because it's easy to read a box score, and also these advanced numbers and stats look very, very nice. Ooh. Vorb. Ooh, offensive rating, defensive rating. Like, oh, it looks, like it's cool.
And you know what, too? Storylines.
Yeah.
Headlines.
Yeah.
Like narratives getting pushed. Like, oh, this might be better for us to talk about, or better for us to write about.
Yeah. But it's nasty, because you giving out MVPs to guys, that don't necessarily deserve it. And then you start looking at the grand scheme of things where guys retire, and then I can sit up and say like, yo, TP probably better than Steve Nash. Or I can sit up and say, Steve Nash got 2 MVPs. He's not even a top 5 point guard of all time. You know what I'm saying? You start looking at things when things are all said and done, like, damn, like, what?
Is Steve top 5?
No.
Yeah, Steph, Magic. Got Isaiah. I'll put Isaiah over him. You got Russ, you got GP, you got Chris Paul, you got John Stockton, you got J Kidd. I mean, it's a lot.
No.
But yeah, man, I mean, it's tough.
No.
It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. I'll just use that for example. That's not.
Because I mean, we've had that as an episode before though too. So, name your top 5 PGs. But yeah, man, I mean, there's 4 series left. I personally think that the MVP award should be handed out after, right? Like, I think the MVP award should be handed after, just because it's like, now you see over the course of this season. Oh, well, okay.
I like that when they're giving the fans. That's historic. I like
Well, Jokic isn't about to.
Well, it's not.
It could happen.
Well, he probably shouldn't have had it. We don't have to worry about it because he shouldn't have had it. Like,
there you go. From now on, the MVP award needs to be announced during the conference finals. That way, the player should receive that award in front of their home fans.
I mean, they've been second round is normally cool. It's normally in the second round.
No. Put pressure. Apply pressure.
Second round is fine.
Me asking you to be a top 4 team last standing, and you're the MVP of the league. I don't think that's too much to ask. Get it done. Get it done.
Semifinals is cool with me.
Right.
Semifinals is cool with me because when you start getting that top 4 situation, anything can, it just depends.
Not in a 7-game series. If you lose in a 7-game series, upsets don't happen in NBA playoffs. Like, to me, if you lost, it's because you weren't the better team. You mean to tell me you lost 4 times? Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4?
Joel Embiid is an
4
could have been an MVP and probably in the Miami Heat's the number 1 seed in the conference. Though is.
But again, but I'm saying though that wouldn't be an upset. That's my point.
Yeah.
If that happens, then I would just say the Miami Heat are better than them.
Yeah, true.
Like, to your point, they're the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, it can get handed it out at the Eastern Conference Finals or Western Conference Finals. Like I said, I just use that for example. Joel Embiid's a 4th seed. If he would have won the MVP, they lose to the Miami Heat, the number 1 seed. It's kind of like, that's why I said second round is fine.
Okay, fine. We can lower the bar if you want to make.
It's historically been the second round.
Lower the bar for these mids. I mean, I want these young, these players to reach the finals, but I guess that's. Let's assure, if you will, let's assure that MVPs can receive the award in front of the home crowd by making the conference semifinals. Okay, fine. Make sure everyone's cool with that. But hey, this year that won't be happening at all, unfortunately. But again, it was still a great season for Jokic, regardless. I know Joel, this definitely has to suck. Then now too to come back from injury and all that.
It sucks because it just feels like Joel Embiid is never going to win an MVP. It just seems like this was this year. I feel like he probably got robbed. Like, it just feels like this was the year like he was kind of supposed to win. Like I said, he was keeping them afloat. He was number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference without his best player, second best player on his team. All that situations was going on with the Philadelphia Sixers with Ben Simmons and stuff. Then they acquired James Harden. He doesn't even suit up to after the All-Star game. So it's like several games afterwards because he was hurt. And, that's what I'm saying. Like, he played 60 games without Simmons and Harden, So that's what I'm saying. Those are like the 2 best players on this team. Like, whatever you want to factor in. And Joel Embiid was struggling with injuries himself. He played, this is probably the most like durable season he's had. What I'm saying, in his NBA career, probably, if you really look at it. Like, I don't know the numbers, but like he played a lot of games. So that's what it just kind of sucks because like, is Joel Embiid gonna have this like durable regular season probably again next year? Probably not. You don't know what it is historically. No, probably not. What I'm saying? Is he gonna have like this narrative of like, oh, Ben Simmons is not playing or James Harden's not? Probably not. Like, then people gonna sit up and say your argument. Who you play with? Oh, James Harden's on the team. Like, he's averaging 20 and 10. Like, it's not like he, so that's what I'm saying. It was just like, it just feels like this was supposed to be the year for Joel Embiid, and it kind of sucks, honestly. It really does.
No, you're right. And to hear that, it's a reminder that there's still a lot of good and great players left in these playoffs. Right? A lot of role players have stepped up. But at the same time, we got some guys who have won MVPs before. So I say that because it leads me to the cap or no cap that I have for you, right? So cap or no cap, and this isn't an answer of cap or no cap, but I just want to hear your thoughts on this. If you had to choose one player right now, today, right, that's still playing the playoffs, who do you think is going to win Finals MVP?
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Giannis.
Yeah.
So you think they're going to win the whole thing, the Bucks, with or without Chris?
If Giannis gets out the East, he's winning. So if the Boston Celtics don't take him out, and like I told folks before they got all high and they beat the Brooklyn Nets, stuff like that, I was like, okay, relax. I think and it's still going on a series and stuff like that. I still think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to win this series. And then it was 0-2. I was like, damn, the Miami Heat going to the Eastern Conference Final. Looks certain. Joel Embiid comes back. James Harden putting up 30 and 10. Like, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that series. So it's just like the Heat may not even make it. And let me tell you something. I don't, Philly and Milwaukee, if that's the Eastern Conference Finals, I just don't see Giannis losing to the Philadelphia Sixers. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I am wrong with this because I don't really care about, Giannis going back to the finals and going back to back.
Yeah, but you don't want. There's a lot of people that might be rooting against that.
Yeah, I'm a pure.
Yeah, but so you and the pure hubris community need to hope that does not happen.
So I don't want that, but it's crazy. I really think it's gonna happen. I really think Giannis is going back to back. I really think that, like we talk about, like MVPs, like elite lists of what like Nikola Jokic just is on. Well, if Giannis goes back to back and wins Finals MVP, he joins an elite list, a top 5 elite list when we talk about top 5 players of all time and what they have done when we talk about like back to back and Finals MVPs. It gets kind of scary. So
it gets nasty.
It gets kind of scary for his trajectory. For his trajectory, it gets kind of scary.
I don't even know what's scarier, his trajectory or where he's already at now.
Yeah,
you know,
so
like again,
right now it'd be like.
It's scary to think that he could be in that conversation at the age of 27, but then it gets even scarier to think that he's actually 27.
It gets scary for his possible trajectory because like then we start talking about guys that like, yo, he doing it in Milwaukee too. We started like, what if we got us another one of these like superstar players that like a Steph, like a Kobe, like a Michael that's gonna do it for their career at one place.
And
like
even those guys, I wouldn't even say. And even those guys, because look at the names you just said, and now look at the markets and the cities that those guys are in.
That's true, yeah.
This ain't LA, right? This ain't Cali, you know what I'm saying? This ain't Chicago.
It's Milwaukee.
You know, like this Milwaukee.
Yeah, I guess.
You know, and even with Brian, you know, you go to Miami, South Beach.
Yeah.
All right, you know, even with LeBron with Cleveland, he was from there. So, all right, that narrative.
I guess.
What ties did Giannis have to Milwaukee before him going there with the league?
None. That's
none.
Gets scary.
And he ain't asking nobody to pull up.
Yeah.
He ain't, you know what I'm saying?
Because they can't. and they won't. So that's what I'm saying.
They don't want to.
And he's still.
I mean, I feel like Giannis may have pulled like to this point, like, yo, if he wanted to, if he wanted to reach out to like some vets, like, yo,
they gotta go, vets like role players, not start. Like they had to go out and get, they had to go out and get Drew Holiday for a reason. They gave 4 first-round picks, and like they had to go out and get Drew Holiday for a reason, and it paid off with getting the championship. You know what I'm saying?
You don't think there's guys out there?
Chris Middleton was homegrown too.
Yeah, shout out. You don't think there's guys out there though that are ringless that wouldn't slide to Milwaukee if they had to get a chance at a chip? You don't think so? You don't think like a John Wall or like
no John Wall with no nightlife? Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Come on. Like, come on. Stop. Who going to Milwaukee?
No, okay. Let me. But the thing is,
nobody thinks.
No. You're right. What I'm saying.
Probably nobody.
I think perspective is everything, because we said that about Portland as well. But if you think of it like, all right, I don't want to go to Portland, but if I were to go, I want to at least be guaranteed a championship. If you would start out there and you go to Milwaukee, you might not like Milwaukee, but the chances of you getting a ring are real.
Yeah, Dame should want to go there.
But that's what I'm saying, though.
In that ring, but even Dame, I don't. Why go there when you can go probably somewhere else? It's some other things.
You know somewhere that I don't.
All I know is like nobody's going to Milwaukee, because if they weren't going to play with LeBron, they damn sure ain't going to play in Milwaukee. Like it's just they weren't going to play with LeBron. LeBron had to leave for a reason. Like he was maxed out. Like he couldn't get nobody. He couldn't get nobody. They wanted Amari Stoudemire. They nixed that situation. Like they tried to get Paul George. They was nixed that situation. He couldn't get nobody. Like unless you develop and draft guys like OKC,
I'm not talking about
it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard. Like they got homegrown players, so it is what it is, man.
But no. It's so funny though to hear like certain players say like, "Oh, I'm not going there." Okay, well, are you winning where you're at? Excuse me.
This. You
excuse me, my fault.
This. You know, and like I know. What does Draymond Green say? Winning doesn't matter to everybody. Some guys don't want to win. Some guys don't really care about basketball like that. They care about their money. They care about their lifestyle. They care about the city that they're gonna play in.
With no life
like nobody, not everybody cares about winning. That's what separates guys, the great all-time legends, compared to other guys. So it is what it is. I'm not mad at them. I wouldn't care.
I know, bro. I know.
Do I want to be a Bradley Beal in DC or go chase a ring in Milwaukee? I want to be a Bradley Beal in DC. I'm sorry.
But you know what, though? I mean, right now it's easy, and shout out to Bradley Beal. It's easy to say that, but I think as a player or a person gets older, you're going to start thinking, damn, what if, right? And then when you think about KG's situation, obviously Minnesota, Boston, two different cities, but it's the idea of like,
too. That was
you
nasty,
you want to, right? Yeah, you want to be loyal to a team. You want to be loyal to a city. You want to give one franchise your all. But damn it, you reach a point where it's like, shit.
I will say this: some guys,
I'm not wasting this potential.
but some guys, it's more important for them to win their way than to do anything else. We've seen that with Dame. It's more important to Dame to win his way, win a championship, being the number one guy, win a championship in Portland, being a guy that's going to super team. It's more important for certain guys to win their way than to win it all. You know what I'm saying? Or to go chase something. And I respect that.
I do. Well, I mean, I respect it, but I mean, at some point, that has to stop. I feel like,
but they're okay. But they're okay if they never get it done. I think you have to be okay.
I don't know.
That.
We won't know though. We won't know until, because like I don't know too many players out there who haven't won a ring, stay with one franchise, and can say, you know what, I'm glad I did it my way. All right.
Let me tell you something. Allen Iverson is glad he did it his way.
First thing first, Allen Iverson is not the same as literally anyone we're talking about here. There are levels.
I'm just saying
there are levels.
But he's glad.
Levels.
He's glad he did it his way.
There are levels. And
I'm just saying he wouldn't trade a championship for his career. I don't think he would.
I don't know. I can't speak for Allen Iverson, but I will just say that like I'm sure that's something you think about. Even if, again, guys like AI, Brad, Dame, as you look on your career, of course you say, you know what, I did what I had to do. I had one hell of a career.
Yeah.
But come on now. At some point, you do have that in the back of your mind, like, man.
Sure, you want to. Everybody wants a championship, but Charles Barkley said it perfectly. Like, some guys, it's more important to be the number one guy driving the bus and having that, like, yo, I brought us a championship than it is for guys to feel like, yo, okay, you got a championship, you joined a great team and stuff like that. Like, all right, cool. Like, you was on a super team, like, cool, whatever. You won a championship, but were you the guy leading the crew? Like, were you the one leading to the mountaintop? So,
well, you know what though? But even with that, I think that's slightly different because we talk about those two guys, right? Allen Iverson and Charles Barkley, right? I think Allen Iverson could have been the best player on a championship team. I think deep down in his heart, he believed that. And I think deep down inside of everyone's basketball minds believes that. Same thing with Charles Barkley, because those are two guys that made the finals.
Yeah.
Right? Those are two guys who like, all right, at least, you know what I'm saying? Right, but that's my point. They came close, right? During the peak of their career, they made it. So it's like, all right, you know what? Hell, AI lost to Kobe and Shaq. Yeah. Barkley lost to Michael Jordan. So at least if they didn't win, you could say, all right, you know what? Hey, I just ran to, you know.
Well, like I said, who you play against matters. I always say that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Who you lose against matters too.
Right. But no shade to Dame and guys like Bradley Beal, but they not losing to Giannis. They not. Right? They not losing to Pete Braun and the Eastern Conference Finals. You feel me? So to me, that's why I say I think there's levels when it comes to like, all right, I really do deep down feel like I could be the alpha dog on a championship team, or I need to say, you know what? Ain't nothing wrong with being a second option. And that's nothing too. Being a second option on a championship team is amazing. Right? Like, I'm not saying that, like, you know, no one is going to respect you the same, but, like, you know, a second option to a player like Giannis or a player like LeBron or a player like KD, whoever, that's not a terrible thing.
It's a little easier to do that when you're not in your prime or you're not as good as, or you haven't been a first option, you know, being the guy, being the man. It's a little easier to do. It's going to be a little easier for Dame in a couple of years if he continues what he says he wants to do and stay in Portland. Like, I think when you get a certain age, you start looking around like, okay, like when that team starts looking to shop you, it's a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? When that team starts,
but even still, like this, beat the team to the punch. You know they're going to do that eventually.
Well, he may not. He may not think that. I know.
Come on now. These players, they might be money hungry, and I agree with you. The idea of like they want to win it on their own, but something tells me that they're not.
I hope not.
You know, to the point where like they think the organizations are going to fall in love with them. Hell no.
Well, we gonna see. Well, we gonna see. We gonna see with Brad and Brad this year. We gonna see with Zach LaVine this year, or what he does as a free agent. You know, we may see with Dame. I don't know what. Maybe not. Like, I don't know. But all I'm saying is just kind of like, it's not everybody's goal is to win a championship. It's like secure your bag, secure your legacy, secure your stats first. Then if you have a chance to win a championship, go out and do it. Especially when you're a player where like it was never like you didn't have this like pressure coming in. Like Bradley Beal had no pressure coming in. Dame had no pressure coming in. They weren't like guys like LeBron or Kobe or Allen Iverson. like it's a little bit different. Like when you have pressure coming in, or when you have like expectations, and when people see your greatness of like, yo, you coming in, that's your second year, people already talking about like LeBron, you a top 5 player in the game, or you're the best player in the game. Like it's levels, of course, when we start talking about certain things like yo, beyond Stephen Curry not having a championship and Damian Lillard not having a championship is two totally different things. You know what I'm saying? So same with LeBron, and LeBron not having a championship and Bradley Beal not having a championship. It's just two different things. I hate to say it, but that's just kind of fact of the matter.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, hey, it is what it is. Hopefully those guys can get to a little bit more better situations where their team act accordingly. But
if they want to.
Yeah, but we'll see. So yeah, enjoy the rest of these playoffs, of course. You already know what to do. 5-star rating, Apple Podcasts. Get busy with Spotify. Subscribe. All right, subscribe on YouTube. No Pump Fakes, wherever you get your podcasts. All right. And just like that, y'all, we gone. Peace.
It's your boy, AK Smith, also known as AK. Make sure you guys go follow No Pump Fakes wherever you get your podcasts.